Hello peoples of the internet, and welcome to this video on Forza Motorsport 7, where I have about the closest thing you can get to a hearse in Forza. The livery isn't the best, but there wasn't that much available, and it does a good enough job, I think, of conveying the hearse kind of feeling we're looking for. You'll see nothing in the back. It's basically a pickup truck, but then if we look at it from this angle, it's as close as we can get. I decided, with this being October, late October even, it would be a good time to do a challenge like this. Or a challenge involving this, should I say. Look at all that orange. It's basically got a pumpkin under the bonnet. How Halloween-y is that? If we just sit in the driver's seat, you'll see. It is pretty much an old muscle car, which I'm sure some people love. It's very dark on my monitor in here. I think I've just stepped into the night. Yeah, we'll go with that. But anyway, the point is, I'm hoping to beat a Corvette ZR1 with this, which I think I should be able to do. So let's go to a track with a Corvette and set a time which we can use as a competition for this vehicle. Okay, so here I am at the track. I've chosen Daytona as I kind of like the track. It's a fairly high speed track, and you can get it at night naturally, as a Halloween video has to be shot at night. Now I've got 6 laps. I don't know why I say it to that, but it's on 6 laps, so that's what we're going to do. And already I'm messing this up. It's all about that I've got 6 laps to fix it, I guess. I remember this car, I was reading up, interestingly, it had, I think, water cut aluminium on the chassis, or that was basically the chassis, and I'm completely messing this up, I'm sorry. I'm just not used to such a high performance vehicle. Thankfully we do have plenty of laps, as I just mentioned back there, so as long as I'm not, I don't know, throwing it into a wall continuously, I'll be fine. I think this is the first time I've actually driven this vehicle. It was originally one of the vehicles I won, and most importantly, I'm using it because I'm cheap. Admittedly, there's many other performance cars that do fit into A-class, but I want to get this video out for Halloween, and to do that, I really have to make the compromise of not going mad and waiting ages to get the money up to buy a car I would prefer. Either way, having said that, this car is not bad. As much as it's not the very nicest car in the world, as much as the interior isn't the very most premium in the world, the value for money on this is actually quite amazing. The handling rating, less so much. It's 5.5. It's okay for a car of this performance tier, but I would really have hoped for better. I did have quite a serious crash back then, but I was rambling on. Oh dear. Sorry! Quick, drive away before they notice what I've done to the track. Wait, this first lap is going to be experimental, let's say that. I will be a lot better on my second lap, believe me. Once I've got to learn this car, I will manage to cut through the right areas and things. The thing is, normally if I'm driving a car of this speed level, I've built it myself and I know all the ins and outs of it. I know how it handles. This is not one of those cases. It's a completely stock vehicle and I've not built it, so I don't know what it's like. I do remember it had some kind of fancy magnetic suspension system, which is also on a Vauxhall Astra, of all things. Because Vauxhall was owned by GM. They're not owned by GM anymore, but they were. Or was. I don't know. I'm confusing my terms. And they are now owned by, I think, was it Peugeot Citroën? And they did make the Astra in the UK. I think they still do, but I'm not certain of that. Peugeot Citroën could have moved it. I'm getting distracted though, but as you'll see, I am driving better. I think the crucial thing before was, the car handled well, but it just didn't quite have the brakes I was expecting. I would like some nicer brakes. Admittedly though, as I say, it's good value for money in this car, so they have to save money somewhere, and presumably that's by going for vented discs instead of carbon ceramic brakes. So You can't have a, how is it, $60,000 car or whatever these were and have it compete with a $1 million supercar. It's just not going to happen. But for what this is, it's going incredibly well. And I felt really odd there. It seemed to have a kind of delay in shifting gears. I'm braking really early here. Far too early, but I can't tell where that wall is. So the best I can do is just guess. Hopefully I'll get it in my mind where it is and I'll kind of blueprint it into my mind and then I'll know. But I can't say for certain. So this is going to be our first good lap over the circuit. A good, clean, solid lap for us to get a time from. And I'll hopefully improve upon that. Daytona is a good course to drive around, I think, because we have this kind of overweighting part, but it doesn't go on for too long. Not in this variant of Daytona, at least. It doesn't go on for too long. We always will come into this tight, winding corner with it, and I have thrown it off the course there. That was a mistake. I'll try and avoid mistakes like that. It's just trying to manage this, and as I say, the brakes are never as I expect them to be. I need to be kind of cautious, but also willing to use the power. The grip is phenomenal. I'll say that now. The grip is absolutely phenomenal because I can just floor it and I know it will grip. I expected it to be scary. I expected it to be spinning the wheels, but it's not. For something with over 600 horsepower, it grips incredibly, incredibly well. It's going to be firm on the old suspension car. No, suspension front. It's not a GT car. It's quite a hard sports car, that must be said, but it is a good sports car, and it isn't letting me down, other than the brakes. But the brakes are good enough. They're not perfect, but you know, I'm not crying about them. Well, I kind of am, but I'm not losing my mind because the brakes are terrible. They are doing their job, just not as good as I would want them to be. Now, I'm thinking I can go a bit faster here. I kind of messed this lap up earlier, I will admit. Oh dear. See, there's the problem. I see the wall coming, but I see it too late. And either that, or I just guess where the wall is, and I guess wrongly. But as I was saying earlier in the lap, I kind of messed it up already by going off. So at least in this case, you know, I'm getting to learn the course a bit more. I'm beginning to get pretty glad I had 6 laps here, because otherwise I would not have had a great lap. I had a good clean lap, but it wasn't great by any means. Now, I'm not hoping for the Holden Hearse mobile's brakes to be much better. That does have 215 tyres all around. Now, I could be wrong, but they are very narrow tyres and I don't expect good braking from them, because that's all you can put on it, nothing wider. I pushed it wide there, this car wide back there, but I think I got out of that okay, better than I did on the 3rd lap as I brake into here. I thought I was braking too late, but apparently that was just about right. And then I can power. It did slide just a touch there, but the grip is still nice. Still gets going. It really does feel up to the job though. As far as these American cars go, it doesn't feel like something really sloppy that'll just flop onto its side like a whale or something. That's a metaphor, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels better than that, and I think I've done 11 miles on this. The car is probably destroyed anyway from all the crashing I've done. Anyway, accelerate. Oh dear, I've got into a kind of awkward slide here. Maybe I can maintain it. Yeah, somehow just about maintain that onto the straight. And hopefully I can manage to get a good lap this time. My hopes are... I'm actually realising I can just use the mini-map. Kind of cheaty way of doing things, but it'll tell me where the wall is, and I think I'm braking too late. No. It's just a touch too early. That was not bad, though. If I'd broke just a bit later than that, I would have been right on point for where I should have broke. I'm going to get a good time from it, though. I believe 2 minutes for this circuit is very good for a A-class vehicle. It was in Forza 6, at least. I don't believe that kind of thing will have changed. So let's see what we can get out of this. It's looking good onto here, looking like we could do it. I set a 2-minute one with a front wheel drive Focus RS. So this is beating it. That is very good though, because that Focus, I built it quite extensively. So it was quite a naturally good car, and I've messed that corner up. It's just that first corner keeps getting me. I think on the 6th lap though I will have got this together, and I maybe could get a sub 2-minute time. That is now my target. If I can get a sub 2-minute time, I will be very pleased with this car, and I will be very pleased with what it has achieved as a sub 2-minute time. So accelerate along here. Try and get a bit of brake into here, but then accelerate through here. Very nice. Brake through here. Oh dear. I slightly pushed that too far and then I got nervous and I didn't know what to do. We are getting round here though. Got around that corner. I'm beginning to notice a bit of sloppiness, but I don't think it's the car. I mean, for a road car, it's always going to be a bit sloppy because they try and make it somewhat manageable on roads. It's not just a raw track car with no compromises at all. It could just be that the magnetic suspension is really helping here. It could just be that magnetic suspension really helps you along, but it can only do so much. Right, here we go. I'm thinking I know. Right, brake. There we go. I initially broke a bit too early, but that was probably about as good as I'm going to get, given I can't see that corner coming. Yeah, that was not bad at all. 6th lap though. If I can do that again, I will be pleased. The car was a little out of shape on through the general corners of that section, but it was maintained enough, I think. Now, is this going to be quicker? No, it's not. That was the first corner though. That threw me off, so I can't lose my attention here. I've got to keep it together. Yes. For once, I have got a very neat entry through here, and I'm just about keeping it in the power band, I think. Enough to keep the grip, but not so much to slide it. And round here, gently, and then floor it on the way out, because I can. And keep it on the course. There we go. I'm probably shredding tyres this way, but it's working. I'll do what I did here on previous laps, just get it through and then floor it, and then brake for the next corner immediately after I've floored it for a little bit. Right, that wasn't the worst time through there, but as I say, I can feel a bit of sloppiness when I really push the vehicle. Although it's not bad, this handles as well as Ferraris would handle, for example. I don't see a Ferrari of the same performance level handling significantly better. It would handle better, but not by the hugest amount. Now, if on that dodgy first lap, I was asked if I could do this, I would probably know I could, but I would all the time be nervous of. Because I've learned so much. I'm going to break it, oh dear. That was not perfect, but that was fairly smooth, and I broke in the right zone, and I'm going too far here, so I'm going to just cheat and cut across the grass. I know you might call that cheating, but I'd already pushed it too far. There wasn't much I could do other than try and get it back onto the course at that stage. So, around here. And all it really is now is just a huge stint to the line where that over 630 horsepower will really come together. And yes, 57. That is, I think, our best time yet. And onto the Holden with, yeah, the leaf springs on the way, as we could see. Not ideal performance car stuff. Hey, the Mustang had it though, so can't be that bad. Anyway, we do need to put some higher end parts on this. Ah, interesting. I remember on Horizon 3 though, you could definitely only put 215s on this. However, now you can put 225 and 235s on, so that is definitely an upgrade. Especially since it has 205 standard. It's definitely some upgrade, even if it's not the biggest in the world. I can appreciate that. Now, how much can we get the handling up? Handling is up to 4.9 on the tyres alone, we might not be that far off the Corvette, actually. Tyres and weight always improve handling a lot, and that's what we're going to want to do here as much as we possibly can. Now, do we want aero? Possibly. I don't know, though. It would be quicker without aero, but with aero, it would hold itself to the road better, presumably at least. So, I think I'd do it without aero. I think just for the sake of trying to push the car harder. But I don't know, at the same time, aero would allow me to push it even harder still, theoretically. Such complicated matters. Look how much it drops though, like if I put it on there, it's a lot higher. It's kind of SUV-like in comparison. But yeah, I like the low suspension. 5.2 on the old handling front now. Brakes can save a lot of weight and thus help handling. So if we look back here, that is 28.42, 28.11. It's a decent amount, although it's not the biggest in the world. So this is actually reminding me of Legrand Custom Hearse more and more now. I've lowered it and everything. On that's on BeamNG. I think I could get a 5.3 for handling one way or the other. I know it's typical and people will probably hate me for doing it, but I'm thinking I'll swap the Chevrolet engine in. I'm just doing everything I can really to save weight, other than the transmission. Now, the reason I don't do the transmission right now is because it can, although it can save weight, as you'll see there, it doesn't normally save that much weight, and it sometimes changes the performance points quite a bit, as you'll see there, without really changing the top speed. Now, if the top speed on this is 185 when we're finished or something around there, I won't bother too much, honestly, with the transmission, because that'll be enough, I think. Will it? Yeah, I think it will be, but I'm doubting myself now. So yeah, handling is a struggle, so we want the lightest wheels we can get. These ones, perhaps? I'm trying to find some that look nice on the car. No. Come on. I don't want to play Wheel Selector Simulator 2016. Or 2017 as it is now. These should do a good job. They're gold, so they make it look a little more interesting. Yeah, do we want wheels that big? I don't know. Either way, it looks sporty. So I'm going to make it a sporty vehicle, even if it's hideously uncomfortable for the people riding in the back of it. Now, the handling is really low. Lower than I would have thought. So, engine swaps. What have we got as an engine swap? We've got that, which looks like a no-brainer at this point because of how... I don't know what menu to select. Handling, so... We have a Hemi and we have a 5.9 rating, neither of which are particular options. I'll go with this one. And I think I'll go with Aero because the handling is so low for the class. And I don't want that, really. We could save a bit of weight on the bonnet. So let's have a good old supercharger sticking out of our hearse. Nothing unusual about that at all. Still 5.3 for handling. Hopefully with a wing that'll change. Non-adjustable there. That is the adjustable aero. Oh, well. Should I do that? I don't know. No, it stops it becoming a hearse. I just can't bring myself to do that because the whole point is that it looks like a hearse. So turning it into a pickup truck just ruins it. It ruins the complete idea I've had. Now, how is the speed affected? Ooh. That's a big jump, so I won't want the standard transmission anymore. Adjustable gears would be nice, but I don't think they're necessary by this point. So, that doesn't change the performance points though, so I don't really mind that. And it improves the top speed. Well, actually, speaking of which, what is the top speed if we just look through here? 163. Probably best I didn't go with aero then. Now, to put this, all this weight saving stuff on is probably the best idea. As I say, the handling is low. We want to bring up the handling as much as we can. And you can go up as well. Have I got a differential? I probably will want a race differential. Yeah, instead of the slippery old spinning open differential it's got from standard. Now, can we put this on? Yes. How much power are we pushing through these wheels? 235 rear wheels. Where is it? 478. We could get 500 horsepower out of this. Yeah, I'm putting all this flywheel and clutch and stuff on. It saves weight. The transmission doesn't do as much of a job of that. Now, 704 is what I'm going to build it to because it's the same as the Corvette. So, I like the enhanced performance of the enhanced high-end performance of this. It brings it a bit more consistent power. I'm thinking then, should I remove some of this stuff? So how much does that add? Ah, so if I compromise here, that's pretty good. That takes off the bulk of the performance points. I'm throwing away my money by this stage. That'll make it shift really slow, but it saves performance points and it'll give me more power, which is always a positive, I think. So that is plus 11. Really just what's the most power I can get while keeping it in 704. Plus 14. Looks like plus 14 is as good as I can get. So, or maybe we could go with a combination of the two. So if I go plus 9. And then I need a plus 5 at least. Yeah, I'll just leave it at this. It works for me. So, here we have the mighty Hearse. Indeed. This is probably not going to handle that well, actually. If I just check how much power it's got, because I didn't check before, stupidly. Ooh, am I seeing this? So, no. There we go. 605 horsepower. That is, I believe, it's within 40 horsepower of the Chevrolet, that's for certain. So, within 40 horsepower, and I believe this thing is lighter. And it's rear-wheel drive, indeed. So, we can't open the bonnet anymore because it's a different engine. And it's got the bonnet modification on, which sometimes affects these things. Anyway, we can hopefully see how the now super sport Hearse does around the circuit. Okay, so here we have the track where I will be taking the Belmont around. I don't know, it said Belmont on the back. The Hearse, that was the name. Anyway, let's get going. Come on. Interior view, yes. The grip isn't as bad as I'd expected. I expected worse, I'll say that now. Oh dear. Although there is a slight visual obstruction from that big doodad on the bonnet. I forget his name, Blower, that was it. And am I experiencing this? It feels nicer than the Corvette to drive. Oh dear. The brakes are not particularly any better, though they are slightly better, I would say, being carbon ceramics, but the tyres are still narrower, so it kind of evens out. Now, I'm trying to think of things to say. Well, early on, it was much harder to control the Corvette, although it did eventually prove a speed to be had from that vehicle. Whereas with this, I'm immediately able to use it. Is that a sign it's too easy? I don't know. You'll see there, I did get a slide. It's not like night and day better, but it is definitely easier to drive than the Corvette. Whoa! When the back went, it really went there. It didn't just slip loose. Like sometimes it does on the Corvette and you can recover it. This was like an aggressive letting loose back there. Anyway, we are getting going. Now, will I see that wall any better in this car? Possibly not, and oh dear. It does not feel as stable at high speed. It turns out a 1970s Holden doesn't have the same high speed aerodynamics as a modern high performance Corvette. What a surprise. Anyway, I didn't go with the aero eventually because it destroyed it as a Hearse. And I don't know, it is going quick and it's controllable enough, so that's always something that can be said in its favour, and it doesn't tip too much around the corners either. It's actually quite fair and quite nice to drive, dare I say it. 50-50 weight balance it supposedly got, so it does feel that. Even though it's a pickup truck, it is still a very well balanced vehicle. And, whoa, it was just sliding there. Maybe a bit sloppy around those corners. Oh dear, I'm on the grass. We cover. No, it was too far gone. I tried to push it back into line, but it didn't quite want to go. Anyway, I wonder what my first lap was. I've forgotten. I've seriously forgotten already. But either way, I can feel as the tyres heat up and gain grip, this thing could be a monstrous performance vehicle. Oh dear. And we're off the course. Come on. I have no doubt the lighter engine is helping with the balance. Thing is, it is essentially a Chevrolet crate engine, so you could build this car in real life if you really wanted to, because Chevrolet does sell you the engine on its own if that's what you're into, as do Ford in a lot of cases with their V8s. I believe GM, Chevrolet even, sell you a inline 4 if you want it, which is a turbocharged engine that was in an older Astra VXR. That could be interesting if you had like a smaller project, or if you wanted to swap out a large muscle car engine for a small light 4-cylinder. Now, I'm not sure why you would do that, but hey, the option's there. Now, I'm getting distracted. I did just hit that wall back there, but you saw what kind of chaotic problems I was having with the Corvette. The second lap was actually relatively tame with that, but you know, that car had its fair share of problems. This has its problems in different ways, but I would say it is nicer to drive. At the same time, it's less powerful, but then you expect that because it's lighter. So, around here we go. I only have 5 gears. I believe the Corvette had 6, but I never tended to go into 6 on that car, so the gears are probably better balanced on this, even if there is 1 less gear technically. And around here we go. Very, very nice through there. The thing is, this tends to lose its tail more in dramatic ways, possibly due to the nature of it being a pickup truck, but the Corvette was a lot tamer when it did lose its rear end. This is a lot less tame when it does lose its rear end, but there is grip to be found still, and there is speed to be found from this vehicle. Come on. I'll accelerate. Oh dear. Going wide. It does take more precision. If you want to get the most out of it, you have to be a bit more precise with where your inputs are, and I'm pushing this way too hard. I might still get a decent time out of it, but that is not going to be my best lap, I can tell that now. Now, hopefully I can get the corner right round here. If I can get this right on this lap, then I know I'm safe, and I basically know what I'm doing for the next lap, which is always a reassuring feeling. And I'm going fast. This is why the aerodynamics don't feel great. I was going 170 in an old pickup truck, essentially. Well, an old pickup truck based van, is to put it in more literal terms. That was kind of corner cutting, kind of fair. Hard to say which one really. This has been a good lap overall. I hope the other laps are as good as this. Just, yeah, as I say, you need to be a bit more precise with your inputs, but it isn't the hardest thing to drive in the world. I'd say at times it's even easier than the Corvette, and this is really not what I expected to say. I expected I may even have to convert this to rear-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive, because it was not going to make it handle effectively with just rear drive, but I was wrong. It does handle okay, even with the narrower tyres than you might expect for this type of vehicle. Come on. Yeah, we will get the deceased to their location extremely quickly with my Hearse service. No issues here. But can we beat a Corvette? You know, it would be fairly amusing if someone actually used a Corvette ZR1 as a hearse, so I will admit. This comparison serves no purpose whatsoever until that happens. Yeah, so... Come on, accelerate. Oh, I'm getting quite the slidiness, but I somehow managed to just about hold it together. Oh dear. I've thrown it away. Thrown it away. High cones. I'd be amazed if this is under 2 minutes, though. I'm concerned, though. Because I know with the Corvette I did eventually pull out an amazing lap, but I'm concerned this is just going to be a bit too snappy when I'm really pushing it round a corner. Whereas the Corvette wasn't like that. Oh dear. Yeah, as I was saying, it does snap a bit more. I just about managed to recover that, and these headlights oddly seem more effective. I'm noticing that wall more than I was with the Corvette, where it was just a case of basically guess where the wall is. Which is odd. I wouldn't say they're brighter, they're probably just... It's probably just the angle of the headlights being pretty much straight up means there's no interference. They just go right ahead and show you what you need to be shown. So, are we going to set a good time here? I think so, but I don't think it will be a sub 2 minute time. That will have to wait. Yep, 2 minutes though. That is good. That was about the same as I set with the Corvette, I think, on the 5th lap or 4th lap. And I've really pushed this too far. But it was just outside the lines. It wasn't like I'd really flown off the corner there. So, yeah, pretty much the same as the 5th lap with the Corvette. And I've messed it up in the way to this corner, but I may just about be able to somewhat recover it on the way out. There we go. Kind of evened out, and that was very nice of it. So, I'm trying to think. Where can I pilot this? Yes, floor it through here. They are both ultimately V8 muscle cars at their heart. That is the one thing I can conclude. 2-seaters as well, 2-seater V8 muscle cars. They're not as different as you might think for just looking at them. There's all the cones from one of my previous escapades. I'm beginning to get the hang of it, I think. I'm definitely beginning to get the hang of it now. Even if I am gliding and sliding out of the lines, it is still just about able to pull itself where I want it to. Now the first corner on to the 6th lap is important because that's where things will ultimately be decided. I'm noticing my tyres are wet. Oh dear. I shouldn't have noticed my tyres were wet. That was a mistake. I'm noticing my rear tyres are wet. I'm not sure if it's heat though or if they're actually going. I'm slightly concerned they're actually going. I don't believe that was the case with a Corvette, but then again I could be wrong there. If it is heat, it would explain quite a bit because the front tyres should be warmer though, surely. That would explain the snappiness though, I guess. If they're very grippy, but then suddenly you just push them past the limit, that would make sense. Now, onto the 6th lap. 175 across the start-finish line. Try and brake into here. I'm really braking hard and taking a slightly odd line. Come on. Try and control my inputs. Yeah, that gear shift actually helped me a lot. It was kind of accidental, but it helped me a lot with actually keeping the car under control where I wanted it to be. Speed as we go through here. That leveled out nicely as well. This is going to be the lap if ever there was one to set a great time with this. Sub 2 minutes I think it can do it, although sadly the Corvette may just have me beat. The Corvette, and it's 1 minute 57. Mind, it didn't get a sub 2 minute time until the final lap. We could be in for the same kind of, how would I say it, assortment of things leading up to that. Oh dear. I pushed that too far. Maybe I'll get away with it, but I really think that's cost me. Just pushing into that corner a bit too heavily. I'm surprised actually I didn't get my nose caught on there and have the wall say thou shalt not pass. I'm also amazed how that blower isn't obstructing visibility more than it is. It should be destroying my visibility, but it just isn't. I broke too early there. Still better than too late, though, if I'm entirely honest. Oh dear, getting a big slide up. Cut that corner a bit. The Corvette did, so, you know, even if that's cheating, it's only fair on both the cars. And we'll accelerate through. Hopefully, this has the speed to it. It should have. Theoretically, this should have the better power-to-weight ratio compared to the Corvette, but I'm not certain of that. Oh dear. I'm not hoping. Yeah, we're slower. We are a fair amount slower. Okay, so what have we learned other than that making videos is good fun? Well, you can modify a hearse. Although it might not quite have what it takes to... Oh no, they're realising it's not secretly not a hearse. No, anyway. You may be able to modify a hearse. But I don't think it's going to be as good as a purpose-built sports car. Which is interesting. The Hoonigan Bel Air, I didn't expect to stand a chance. And it did. This, I did expect to stand a chance, and it didn't. So, it's very, very odd how things work out in the end. But, you know, I'm going to call it the end of the video now. The Corvette clearly won with a 1 minute 57 second time. Whereas this had a 2 minute time. So, yeah, that's a clear winner here. And I'm going to say goodbye until another day.